Howdy, lieutenants and economists.
The most volatile, evil, disgusting things on the planet, humans. If you have a video request, you can always go to assholeconsulting.com.
Yeah, I am gonna charge you, kids. And that is the importance of not fucking up.
You are such an asshole!
AssholeConsulting.com banging out the free Asshole Consulting videos today, tomorrow, and the day after. Because if you agree to do all future purchases on Amazon through my Amazon affiliate program, you get free Asshole Consulting these next couple of days. Alex writes, to Aaron Claire, I have a socioeconomic question for you. I read an article a while ago about a country as an experiment inverted its progressive tax rate system. The lower earners would proportionally pay more than the rich. The country would also fine people up to 6 months if they didn't work and subsequently imprison them if they didn't secure work after the 6 months. When people were in prison, they had two options. The first one was to train in a field that would generate more income, and the second was to get progressively less food and eventually die. My question is that if a system was implemented in America, do you think it would encourage people to make better decisions, stop being poor, and boost GDP fast? Thanks, Alex. Well, yes to all those questions, but there are now some moral questions we've just introduced. I've thought about this before as a younger man. And this kind of already existed in communism, where if you didn't work, you'd go work in the work fields. If you don't eat, you starve. So yes, to answer your literal questions, would it encourage people to make better decisions? Yeah, because there's now a dire cost and consequence. Like, you're in prison, or you're starved by the government, you're killed if you don't work in the right field or right industry, you don't study hard. I think the vast majority of poverty is self-inflicted. Yes, it would cause the majority of people to stop being poor. I think there might be some qualifications made for people who are injured or handicapped or young kids who came from disadvantaged families. And would it boost GDP fast? Yes. Yes, and I know it does, because poverty and starvation is what prompted me to get off my ass, and I am way more productive than the average person. So this would definitely, it would cut poverty down by about 90%. It would definitely, I think you would see GDP per capita within a decade of around 100 to 125,000. It would definitely boost GDP. And I don't think it would encourage people to make better decisions. It would force people to make better decisions. Here's the problem, or the benefit of this. This assumes a proactive government that is proactively punishing you for not carrying your weight. Whereas in the past, this already existed without a tyrannical government imprisoning you. If you have the government, there was no welfare. At one time, there was no welfare. You had to rely on charity and the churches and the nonprofits. The government didn't give a damn if you starved or not. It wasn't the government's business. It wasn't the taxpayers' business. If you were a lazy fuck and had more kids than you could afford, well, it's too bad for you. Life was the punisher. Life was the executioner. And this is why, again, 118 pounds. I remember it. I remember having bagels and ham sandwiches. I remember being so happy when you'd find like a wedding party had left the building, but the janitors hadn't come yet and taken away all the rest of the food. Oh my God. Starvation, the threat of homelessness, the threat of pain, hunger in your stomach, that will prompt you. And the government doesn't need, life will enforce that upon you on its own. Without a government program, without the taxpayers paying more money to set up work camps to do that, all we have to do is cut away and end social programs. That's it. Throw it back to the churches or the nonprofits or whatever. Now, such a high percentage of America, I think it's roughly half the people now, depend on a government check. And I don't mean pensions, people. I don't mean pensions that you work for. I'm talking about welfare, AMF, TAMF, WAMF, BAMF, WIC, MIC, BIC, SLIC, whatever the acronyms are. And you have now generations of people brought up on government cheese. They don't even know how to work. And those people would riot and starve and die. I think it's... And you see that with... You go to Seattle. Go to Tacoma. Look at the homelessness. Even with government programs, they prefer to live under a bridge. So without that, you're always going to have the poor, because people just are that lazy and have a crippling fear of work that they'd rather not work and just beg and panhandle. That's how much some people fear work. But you would see mass starvation. I think people would rather starve. And here's another thing. Look at Africa. They're already at such low income per capita, but they still have 8 or 9 kids per capita or per woman. People will, and even starvation doesn't affect them there. They still go and breed. So I don't think it would eliminate poverty totally. You'd have a lot of people starving and dying. There'd be a truly poor class, not the bloated, fat, obese kids that all go to the 7-Eleven or Walmart and get all the food in the world because mom has an EBT card and, oh, we're poor. We only have 5 flat screen TVs and we only have 2 cars. We'd see real poverty in the United States, especially at the beginning. Most of those people would die off because, again, they would choose starvation and death over working. But then after that, yeah, you would see boom in economic growth. You would see people making a lot better decisions because now you are forcing them to face the reality and the consequences of the bad decisions. But we don't need the government to force punishment for bad decisions. Life does that already. And I would be against such a thing. I wouldn't necessarily be against an inverted progressive tax rate system, although I probably would say I would want a flat one. Like, no, we're all paying the same rate. No one's special. But I don't want work camps. I don't want the government coming in and imprisoning people and forcing them to. It's like, no, because I don't want to spend the money on taxes. It's not our right. You do whatever you want. Here's equal opportunity. It is not going to be equal outcomes because guess what? Not everybody's equal. All right, that's it. You guys got questions, Cappy? You got answers over at assholeconsulting.com. We'll see you guys later. Toodles.